am the target audience for this game, okay? I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I really enjoy a farming sim. I love Stardew. I love Fields of Mystria. I did not play the new Fields of Mystria update so that I could play Tales of the Shire. And I hold zero resentment for that. I'm kidding. However, in its current state, Tales of the Shire, it does not come together at all. And I previewed this game back in September, and even then I was on the more optimistic side of things. I thought maybe they can pull this round. Shortly after, it got delayed into July of 2025. And I thought maybe they had time to fix a lot of the issues. However, they had layoffs. There were extended periods of crunch. There's a very good report from Jackson Ryan on The Verge, which talks about the development of this game and how messy it was and how they were mismanaged. They did not have a big enough team. They did not have a big enough experience to make a game of this ilk. I really hope you go read it because it does provide a lot of context as to why it is so difficult to talk about this game, at least for me, because knowing that there is that human cost to a game, one that comes out and it's actually bad. I don't think you should buy it, at least right now. And that sucks to say. I think one of the things that is very telling about this is that the game was originally supposed to be published under Private Division, and Private Division was kind of in the middle of being put out to pasture by parent company Take-Two, and so the former Annapurna team, who now have a company called Fictions, bought all of their games earlier in this year, and Fictions is nowhere to be seen when you boot up Tales of the Shire. It is all still Private Division. That to me suggests that they don't want their name on it. They want this to be Private Division's, and that's how they want the public reaction to go. And I think that is saying a lot because I think even they knew that this game was not ready to be put to market in the state that it is in. I have played this for something like 7 or 8 hours. I have had multiple hard crashes. That is on a PC running a 4090 that can run every other game on Ultra. Every time I go into the little town center part of Bywater, it chugs. And on top of that, that's, just the technical side of things. I hear it is much worse on the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. Like I said in my preview, the bones of the game are just not strong enough to hold it. And that is a real shame because I think Lord of the Rings, Hobbiton, cozy farming game should be a slam dunk, and it is very sad that it is not. When you boot up Stardew Valley for the first time, or Fields of Mystria, or any game of that ilk, you are given a plot of land and a seemingly unending task list. Okay, so you either have to clear out a bunch of stuff, you have a bridge to rebuild, you have relationships to build and maintain. And the thing that really gets me, and the thing that makes the beginnings of those games so tantalizing and so intoxicating, is the fact that you cannot do it all in one day. At the very beginning, if you're playing Stardew Valley, you see that plot of land and you're like, God, I gotta clear all that, but you get exhausted or something else happens, you gotta go to bed, you can't do it all in one day. In multiple instances in Tales of the Shire, at the very beginning of the game, I was running out of things to do by mid-morning to afternoon. That's ridiculous. You should be overloading me with quests so that I feel like I can't get enough done. However, I was burning through everything the game was throwing at me, and that beginning is pretty slow to get going by, like I said, mid-morning, afternoon, and then the game doesn't let you go to sleep before evening. So I just had to leave my game up while I was on TikTok or something, or answering emails because there was nothing for me to do. There were instances where I was getting quests and I had to, have a meal with someone. Well, you send out the invite to invite hobbits over for a meal, but they can't come until the next day. There is only a select amount of fishing, foraging, or, you can't even talk to other hobbits because they have such limited dialogue options to do, or even cooking. And then that relies on you kind of growing a bunch of stuff or completing quests to unlock new recipes that there is just nothing to do. And that is just kind of the biggest crime of a farming sim for me. And it was something that I was like, if I wasn't playing this for work, I would have turned it off then. There were multiple other instances where this would be the run killer for me. So for example, the task system. If I have to track down a certain hobbit, that's fine because they are on the map. However, the point where I stopped fully is that I had to talk to the dwarf, Neffy, and get some tongs. However, it didn't tell me where the tunnel was. It doesn't tell me in the menu where the tunnel is. It doesn't really show me on the map where the waypoint is. And if I click on track that quest, the quest tracker goes to the dwarf, who just tells me, hey, please get my tongs. But I don't know where. Where is the tunnel? Where is the tunnel, Neffy? There was something underneath your forge, and I went through there, but there was nothing in there. Like I said, this should have been a slam dunk.
Did you find the tongs?
I didn't find the tongs. I stopped playing. My life is too short. The amount of days and hours on this precious earth are so limited that I am not going to be running around looking for those damn tongs. There are flashes of greatness and good ideas in this game. I mentioned this in my preview. I think the way that you traverse around the map, you skip, it's very cute, but also the fact that the birds are the things that are showing you the way, so you don't have the dotted line to follow. The way that the hobbits are cute and they are distinct, and I do actually enjoy talking to them when they have dialogue options for me. Too often I'll just go up to a hobbit and they just go, hey, what's up? The only option I have is to say bye. From what I experienced, because the game kept crashing and it kept corrupting all of my capture, and I was frustrated multiple times because I had nothing to do. I don't know if there are events, but there was no calendar, so there's nothing really to look forward to. All I would get every day would be, hey, there's only X amount of days left in summer. Why am I having all of these relationships and building relationships with these hobbits if we're not gonna do anything? Like, there's the green dragon, and you'd think, hey, maybe this could be a place where everyone goes and there are cool story beats or moments. No, there's not. There's nothing like that. The cooking minigame is fun, but it gets old quickly. Like, I don't mind it as a cooking minigame. I don't mind the fishing as a minigame. I think the actual planting of crops is cool and interesting because it makes you really think about where to put things, because some crops complement each other and you get better rated vegetables or whatever at the end of it. That's cool. I like that. However, putting it all together and there not really being enough in the game to do is a real shame, and it's a miss. And this is the thing, it comes back to this idea, and like I said, go read Jackson's piece on The Verge about the creation of this game. Because and the thing, I don't like crapping on stuff because people crunched. They spent time away from their families. No one ever wants to put out a bad game. The ideas are there. It just has not come together in a way that is frankly kind of like deserving of those ideas. It's a real shame. And there are multiple other things that are just, the backpack is too small. When you've collected and foraged things, when you put them into your pantry, there is no just shift all over button. You have to do everything individually. The game economy in itself is a little bit broken because you need money to buy things. However, I frequently didn't have enough money because there weren't enough quests to give me money. So then I would go and I would just pick up a bunch of hedge mustard. I don't know what hedge mustard is. Some kind of herb. And I would just pick up a bunch of that because that would be growing in abundance, and I would sell it to the guy. I'd make $200-300 money and then just buy everything I needed. So it'd be well, I don't even really have to go grow anything. The map is also just really dense in one particular area and then completely empty. There's a whole field where nothing is happening or going on. Music's nice. Art direction, nice. It's just such a shame. And, I had hoped, I brought up a lot of these things when I previewed the game, and I really had hoped a lot would change, and sadly they don't. It means that some of the systems, like the decorating system, which is very interesting, but because rewards and things are eked out so slowly, there's no real push to go decorate because, none of the hobbits comment on how messy my place is or I don't like that wallpaper. No one comments anything. It's just a system that's there.
Isn't this just the life of a hobbit, though? Isn't this what if this is really what it's like?
To be a hobbit?
Yeah. To go up to someone and be like, hey, how are you? Bye.
You want to go find my tongs? I'm a hobbit. I can't reach my tongs.
Well, the dwarf actually gets you to go do it because you're shorter than they are. So yeah, I'm gonna stop it there. I think, like I said, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. This game should have been the slam dunk. I am the mark for this game. However, and yeah, obviously we had Gollum. I really fear that when it pertains to Lord of the Rings, Tolkien, Middle-earth in video games, I am fearful that they are more concerned with keeping things lore accurate than making sure they are fun and good representations of all of the cool things that can be done with that property. I feel really bad for the team at Weta because this was like their big push into making games. They have this incredible property that everyone knows, everyone loves, and it's just kind of sad that this one didn't work out. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Tales of the Shire, the Lord of the Rings game. That in itself, the fact that it is the Lord of the Rings game in the title shows that some suits are just way more concerned with the name and branding being right than making sure the actual damn thing is fun or easy to read aloud.
Tales of the Shire, the Lucy take, the GameSpot video.
Yeah, that's basically, yeah, it's like, it's just so sad, dude. Yeah. It's not Gollum bad.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Shut up. All right. That's all I got.